Hi, in this latest video, all the concepts that we have discussed so far on the process of disidentification from the ego and all the ideas we have made on how to let go of the ego from now on are to be completely abandoned. Because the mere fact of thinking about a process, about doing something, keeps us in the false self, because it is the ego that tries to get to a goal that will never be able to achieve. How can an ego want to transform into something he does not know and that he cannot reach because he represents its opposite? Let's say the true self, right? So it is as if a snail would like to become a butterfly. Just that can't work. So the ego, therefore, in truth, wants to keep on doing, that is, to think and think, in order to avoid achieving anything at the spiritual level, of course, and thus keeps its identity alive. In the exercise of the step number 2 video, the problem we did not face was the identification in the part of us who practices the exercise and who observes one's thoughts. So this part of us is called the inner observer. So now we must realize that we are not even the one who observes our thoughts. We are not the ego who constantly tries to understand or achieve something. So we must be free from any idea about ourselves or from what we need to do to go from point A, as I call it, from the ego, to point B, the true self. There is no point A nor point B. Because all of this maintains our identification in the ego, in his fantasies, desires, goals. Doing. So how should we behave? We have to say simply at a mental level, I don't know, and listen in silence. I don't know refers to the I don't know who we are, and we don't even know how to get there. So we don't really know anything. That's something that gets us cleared out of doing. Within us, we have millions of years of evolution as memories, all from the animal kingdom to all our ancestors with all their memories. And if you try to solve this legacy with our limited I, we only add new legacy. If we try to solve this issue with a technique, with a psychologist or with a specific meditation, it's okay to do that. But any action that involves our false identity we will remain in the cage of the false self, and we will not be able to access our being who lives in a constant present movement. The actions that our ego tries to perpetrate is always something static and often repetitive, and it does not work with the true self that is the Son of God, that is who we actually are. The Son of God, or the true self, you can call it many ways, can only be known directly without any intermediary. So there's no mind that will bring you there. We need to access that who we are now. So, do you remember, we talk about sometimes in spirituality, what is the death of the ego? You often hear about it in spirituality. It's not that the ego dies, but our identification dies in him. And only by staying still, inactive at the level of identification, that we can be free. Because from a psychological point of view, we are finally willing to die. From a psychological point of view, from an identification point of view. We need to say, I really don't know, with serenity and faith, without feeling helpless or desperate, angry, sad or anxious, because otherwise we block the rise of the truth in us. And it's over. Because we continue to feed this false self, this I. The same thought that tells us that we are now practicing the process of disidentification is a trap of the mind. We are not actually doing anything on a spiritual level right now. Nothing. But only at a level of the ego, which is okay, because we need to start from a point, right? We are now identified in the ego, we need to start from there, right? So but just to let you know, there is no process because the process involves time. Doing something we must achieve and know ourselves now, being free now. And we have to do it without attacking any attention to it, no goal, desire, or motivation, but simply because we feel we are this, that it is love. And love thus arrives, and at that moment, we are in the truth. I hope that these thoughts serve you as indicators because they cannot be more than that. Otherwise, we identify ourselves in them and we lose the purpose of this practice. So how does this practice work? We put ourselves into meditation, sitting possibly, with our eyes closed, and now, whatever I tell you what to do would be misleading because thinking is of the ego. So it blocks us, right? Let us center ourselves as much as possible, okay? Tune in with the here and now. And to any type of thought that arises and in which we notice that we are identified into, or to a thought that offers us maybe a solution how to achieve our true self, which we can perceive, let's say, inside ourselves, we say to this thought, I don't know, or I really don't know. To me, it helps me first to identify a identification process I have, and then tune in with something that I cannot identify with, as if it were nothingness. But it is not even this, it's simply being, and it's something you need to experience, and it comes with practice. So, see you soon.